On this trip, we are headed to the Carrier Gas Furnace Manufacturing Facility in Indianapolis, Indiana, right out my back door. It employs over 1,500 Hoosiers and is one of the biggest gas furnace plants on the planet, with close to 550,000 square foot and the capacity to produce up to 5,000 furnaces a day.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining us on Did You Know, the ESCO HVAC show. So we have had the privilege to be invited to the Carrier manufacturing facility here in Indianapolis, Indiana. And we're hanging out with Tim Evers. How's it going?
Good. Good to meet you.
So there's a lot of really cool things going on at this gas furnace manufacturing facility. You were telling me some statistics coming into this that I hadn't actually realized about this. So can you tell me some of the background of this actual facility?
Yeah, sure. This actual facility was built in 1967, and we've been in operation ever since then, producing gas furnaces. And I believe we still hold the world record for the largest gas furnace facility across all of the network.
That is fantastic. We're really honored to be here. I know you don't always allow outside guests to come into a factory, and so we're very, very honored to be here. And so today we're going to spend some time highlighting some of the transitions that we've had in manufacturing. There's a lot of fantastic products coming to the market, and to show the industry a different side of HVAC. A lot of times people think about our industry and they go, oh, it's that dirty furnace in the closet, or it's that air conditioner out back in the weeds. And that's not the case. It's such an amazing industry, and it's really been wonderful for me and my family. And when we can show manufacturing, and this is not at all what someone would expect to see in a manufacturing facility. This is a gorgeous factory. And so we're going to talk about different aspects of it here. You're also saying that almost all of your actual metal stamping, we can hear some metal stamping in the background, is done here on site. How many pieces of metal do we actually produce at this factory?
On a daily basis, when we're running full rate, we produce almost 500,000 metal stampings from 54 presses a day.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a lot of process.
It is a lot. And we're proud that we're so vertically integrated, because that means we put the craftsmanship that we produce here goes all the way through the furnace that we produce from beginning to end.
So you can actually watch the entire production, monitoring it from beginning to end. All right. I hope you enjoy this. We're going to take a tour, and we'll show you some exciting things. So Tim, I know Carrier has invested a lot into automations and new technology into this facility. You were saying it's been around since the 60s, so I'm sure it's had a lot of changes over time. What investments has Carrier done, say, in the last few years for manufacturing?
Sure, we continue to look at how do we make investments that strategically help us, not just in this year, but for decades to come.
Going forward, right.
So we really focus first on what can we automate that can keep our workforce safe. So we start there with safety in mind always. Second piece, we look at, is there anything that can give us a competitive advantage? Can we insource some things with automation?
Right.
Or can we just simply become more efficient? So we look at that, anything from just simple automation of implementing servo drives and automatic screw guns and things like that, to a cell like what you see behind us.
Sure.
That's using a robot arm to manipulate some steel that we produce in-house in through another stamping process, and then it loads it for a cart ready for use right away.
Which is really important for safety. You know, we look at a manufacturing facility, we can hear there's a lot of heavy machinery going around. If we can remove some of those human aspects from the physical part of it, you know, there's still a lot of jobs for people to do. Robots can assist in some of those safety aspects. You know, when we're moving sheet metal, you know, I've got 7 stitches right there from a piece of sheet metal that was by accident, barely, you know. So when we can work with the automation, work with digital programming and robots, we can assist in some of those more dangerous positions and really increase the productivity at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a mindset of automation always replaces jobs, and that's a misnomer that we should set straight.
I agree.
What it actually does is upskills jobs, because now we need higher grade skilled technicians to keep the automation running, and higher grade operators that actually run an automated cell like this. So it's really a fantastic win-win.
Yeah, because you think about the operator that was manually moving those pieces of sheet metal from one area to the next. Now they're actually doing that with the robots, and so they're upskilling, they're learning PLC technology, they're learning computers, they're learning robotics and automations, and that same operator can now step back and not just move one piece of metal at a time, multiple pieces of metal, monitoring the programming and monitoring the action. So yeah, I completely agree. It's really, think about like as technicians, it's all about having good tools to make us more productive. And that's really what Carrier is focused on, is having good tools to make sure that the operators and the whole manufacturing can be more productive.
Correct. And a lot of things that you're seeing in our Carrier products today that we've innovated to actually have live feedback on how is the HVAC product operating.
Performing, right.
We're doing the same now with our manufacturing equipment. So we're taking that automation to the next level. We will have connectivity across our equipment, even to the point where it will schedule our own preventative maintenance.
Wow.
That's where we're going in the future. I don't have a lot of that on sales here today, but we have a path to get there.
But it shows that progression of technology and innovation.
Absolutely.
Fantastic stuff. I'm seeing a lot of furnaces coming through this facility. Everywhere I look is sheet metal and heat exchangers. So how many furnaces do you produce at this facility a year?
On a yearly basis, it's nearly 1 million.
Really?
And so with our shift operation, we're making anywhere between 5,500 and 5,600 gas furnaces a day.
A day, all getting test fired through the assembly line. That is a lot of manufacturing. That's a lot of numbers to track.
It is. And going back to a comment we talked about earlier about the parts that we produce in-house from a fabrication standpoint.
Right.
With that, we produce nearly 90% of the components that go into this gas furnace ourselves.
Right here.
Right here.
That is intriguing. So I know this is, may not even know, how big is this facility?
The facility itself, from a manufacturing footprint space, is 550,000 square feet.
Okay.
And on a daily basis, we have 1,100 employees showing up to produce these gas furnaces for our customers around North America.
And multiple shifts as well.
Multiple shifts, 2 shifts a day.
Wow, intriguing. Okay, really cool stuff. Yeah. Now, Tim, one of the things that I really find interesting is during the manufacturing, you got a variety of different places where you're actually doing product testing. And with high efficiency gas furnaces, that's always an interesting one because there's so many different parts going. You got your primary heat exchanger, you have all the tubing for your secondary heat exchanger, you got a collector box, you got gaskets. Tell me about what's happening at this stage of the manufacturing.
Sure. At this point, this is actually the final steps of producing our heat exchanger for the high efficiency furnace.
Okay.
So in this station, we're actually fastening the last screws and sealing off the unit. And the most important step then is our test and validation, which is right behind you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in that cell, we're actually sealing both inlet and outlet and leak testing the combined assembly.
Oh, the whole heat exchanger assembly.
Exactly.
Really?
And then we'll actually tie that back, serialize it back, so we have data to that, essentially that serial number of that heat exchanger bundle.
You bet.
To know that unit has been leak tested for our gas furnace assembly. Then kind of looking up, which is now out of frame, it then goes over and joins the rest of the unit over on the other side of the assembly line.
No kidding. So we're layered. So when you're talking about vertical integration, we actually have full assembly lines. We're moving product, building an assembly, moving it to another line, completing the process. Very efficient.
Yeah.
So Tim, one of the things that you had mentioned earlier is as these gas furnaces are coming out, they're actually getting test fired for each one of them.
Yeah, correct. We're actually standing inside one of our test rooms for our high efficiency furnaces.
Okay.
And we test every single furnace that we produce. And it goes through the complete startup cycle, operate cycle, and then shutdown cycle for every unit.
No kidding.
And depending on the unit, it'll take anywhere between 3 minutes and just over 5 minutes to complete that cycle, depending on what the unit is.
Timing and such. Yeah, absolutely.
And then with that, we have a registry then for every serial number unit.
Really?
So then we have data coming back if there will be an issue with a field install.
Yeah, you can track it back down.
Exactly.
See if there was any anomalies in the actual testing.
Exactly.
That's very intriguing because we always wonder as technicians in the field, you know, how often do these get sampled? Like how often do we pull one off the line and test it? But you're actually testing every single one that comes off the line.
Every single unit.
That is incredible. Thank you.
Yep.
Carrier has been a part of the Indianapolis community, contributing to its growth and prosperity since 1967, investing millions in the Indianapolis community through staffing, real estate, and donations. Over 1,000 employees are members of the bargaining unit represented by the United Steelworkers. With more than 1,500 Hoosiers on the team, Carrier plays a vital role in the local economy by providing stable, good-paying jobs. Carrier has also achieved a zero waste landfill certification. Let's go check out the My Learning Center Technical Training Center.
The A2L transition was a lot for manufacturers. There were a lot of things that had to change on the manufacturing as well as the training side. So in this particular lab, we're saying that about 90% of the equipment is A2L, but you do still have some R410A. Because I imagine contractors come in and go, okay, what's different about these? I know this piece of equipment. Now, what does a new one look like? And so you've arranged it so we can actually look at existing equipment, but then look at new equipment and go, okay, here's our similarities, here's our differences. So tell me a little bit about this lab.
Yep. So this lab here is our Carrier lab, and in it, it's our residential ducted.
Yeah.
With that, we've got multiple systems from hybrid systems, gas furnace, heat pumps,
right.
ACs, 80s, 90s, condensing, non-condensing, every combination. We got air handlers as well.
Right.
So try to get a little bit of everything, a mix of everything in here. And to your point, having some 410 with the 454B and just showing the differences, especially going from 410 to 454B, what's the field not like?
Right.
What we like to say is change.
Yeah.
Right. So we like to show what's the difference between the two, the glides, things like that, just so they start to understand and not become afraid of it. Because that seemed to be the biggest thing.
It has been.
When we were talking about this transition.
Yeah. We're going through a transition. All transitions are scary. Nobody likes change. But when you can actually stand in front of it and go, I know this one, and here's the new one, and oh, that's the difference. Okay, now we can take away that stigma and we can focus on the technology itself.
Yes, exactly.
So this is a dedicated Carrier lab.
Correct.
All right, let's go check out another.
Absolutely.
Now, in our residential ducted training labs here, we're actually doing a lot of hands-on training. So tell me a little bit about the different ways that we're going to be learning about the products here in the classroom.
Yeah, absolutely. So first thing is that we don't expect you to have any tools with you, obviously, due to travel and whatnot. So down here, you can see we have everything that you need. We have our voltmeters, we have manometers, we have all the hand tools that you need. Based on depending on what class you're in foundations, we concentrate mostly with refrigeration using analog gauges. Right. We want these technicians to know.
Learn the whole principle.
Yeah, the principle, right? So, digital gauges can be a little bit of a crutch. Right. And we do have digital gauges, and we use those in advance primarily.
Yeah.
But with our analog gauges, we can, do all the math and everything. So we can make sure that everyone understands how to calculate superheat and subcool.
Which is very important. A lot of people don't think about glide, right? They don't think about the fact that even R410A was two different refrigerants, right? It had some glide to it, but it was very small, so we didn't teach it a lot. And I wish we would have taught that more often. As we move into a lot of our modern refrigerants, we're going to see more blended refrigerants. We just have to. Our solutions for refrigerant chemistry are getting slimmer as we progress. And so we can actually teach and show on mechanical gauges because they're not going to see that in digital. It's going to be calculated for them. And I really love that because it helps us understand that we are going through changes and things can look a little bit differently. And if we learn the foundations, it'll make those digital tools a whole lot more convenient, but without the understanding, we don't know what they're actually telling us. So I absolutely love that. What else are we doing in here?
And again, in foundations, we're going through installation, we're going through commissioning.
Yeah.
So, we do a combustion analysis as well.
Cool.
So, really the only way to prove that a furnace is operating correctly is with a combustion analysis. So we go through all that. On the advanced side of things, again, our digital tools, we use tablets. We go through our service app and show everybody how to do that.
Right.
Our NFC technology, how to set airflows that way.
Oh, so you're using near-field technology for the technicians as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, really? Cool. Tell me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So with NFC, you can transfer information between two devices, right?
Right.
So on our furnaces, I'll take the door off here for you. You can see in the right-hand corner here, we have our NFC. So again, this has to be powered off whenever we want to connect.
Okay.
And we'll just take our device and we'll go into our service application.
Right.
And if we hit connect, we can go in and get right up on the NFC. And once it connects, we'll have the ability to change things in the furnace. So we can do all of our setup, we can do our airflows, anything of that nature.
I always think about, like a mobile device like your phone where you can set up, paying applications, where we use our phone to actually communicate, with a network to be able to transfer funds, to be able to talk to each other. We can send
photos back and forth between phones. Well, it's a similar technology. We're just going to be using that to communicate with the actual control. So instead of going through all of our manual setup, we can actually do near field connection. And so what things are we going to be seeing temperatures? What will we be connecting to with the near field?
Yeah, with near field, again, like I said, airflow setup is a big thing. A lot of our commissioning. The other things that you can see is any kind of diagnostic information, fault codes.
Oh, very cool.
And even if we have to do a board swap, so if you have a bad board, you'll be able to take the recipe from your old board and transfer that to your new one using NFC.
That is a fantastic thing, because when we think about part stocking, right? There was a time that maybe every model had a different control board. And do we need them? Well, most of the time it came back down into the programming. And so as we start moving forward, thinking about what technology can solve for us, that's one of the things we can do, is copying those programs and making it easier to put the data onto an existing board that may be able to even use that board for other applications. Love it. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
A lot of contractors are a little hesitant to change sometimes. And that's okay. No one really likes change. We have to get comfortable, because things are progressing in our industry in particular. This lab focuses a lot on our horizontal discharge equipment for the ducted as well as ductless applications. And I see a lot of the horizontal discharge coming into the market. Are you seeing a growth in our horizontal discharge?
Yeah, definitely. So when it comes to the horizontal discharge, the crossover has really taken off. It is about 2 years ago that they launched this. And this has really started to grow with that application of crossing to residential, plus also having a dedicated air handler for that. So we have seen a lot of growth in that.
Yeah, and I've noticed that we even have our multi-ports that we have a dedicated air handler available for as well. So when we get into some of these newer hybrid systems, the horizontal discharge inverter style unit is really becoming prominent in HVAC contractors' lives. And so here we have an entire lab dedicated to not just understanding the troubleshooting, but also doing the wiring and commissioning with different style controls.
Yeah, so like we talked about, we have that foundation class, the installation, where we'll go through every single bit of it, and we will work on wiring up, application, why we'd install different types, both on the traditional and when we talk about the crossover. But then, like you said, we have our troubleshooting. So that's that advanced, where we actually dig into each one of the components. We'll rip blower motors, we'll go ahead and measure them, where are our thermistors, and then I throw bugs in the system and say, hey, try to figure it out. I'll be the homeowner.
Where's the problem?
Find the problem. Here, I have no thermostat. Why?
Let me sit over your shoulder while you're trying to figure it. Real world scenarios.
Real world scenarios, exactly.
Definitely. Really nice lab. Very well done. Really appreciate the amount of technology you put into this. So we actually have two separate VRV, VRF training labs here. We have a 2-pipe and we have a 3-pipe, and a lot of products. So tell me what we're doing in this particular one.
So this particular lab, we have both single phase and 3-phase.
Okay.
And then inside of that single phase, we have just a heat pump option. But when we get to the 3-phase, we have both a heat pump and a heat recovery.
Oh, cool.
Now with the heat pump, that's obviously your heat or cool.
Yeah, one or the other.
One or the other. We can't go together. But with our heat recovery, this is where we get our simultaneous heating and cooling.
Okay.
So we're able to heat and cool 2 different spaces at the exact same time using that same refrigeration cycle.
And back to a variety of different indoor head styles that we can use for that.
Yes, actually a more wide variety of heads than what we had over on the ductless side.
And so what type of training will we do in this classroom?
So we have our foundational training. So when they come, we will offer everything from the setup. So actually come down, take measurements in the lab. We'll make a full file so they can see the layout. How do we input our design, right? And then afterwards, we'll come down and they do a full entire commission of it.
Oh, really?
So little less on the wiring, just because most of that will be wired, but actually setting up rotary dials, setting up our dip switches.
Assigning addresses for things so things will operate properly.
Yeah, exactly. So we want it all to work, and then we'll hook up with actual software to make sure that it's right.
Oh, nice.
And then we'll record some data and make sure that it's proper operation.
Right. So we can actually see that field design, that installation side, and maybe even encounter some of the problems we have. Like, hey, why is this unit running and it's supposed to be that unit running?
Yeah. And then it's not only that the class will only start one up. They actually will start both of them up. So they get experience on both the heat pump and the heat recovery in that one class, because You may start only a heat recovery for months and months, and then you'll have a heat pump. If you don't have hands-on experience, you may forget that. So we know that technicians learn with their hands, right?
Yeah. So you actually get their hands on the equipment. We have an entire selection of equipment in this training lab. Now, Lindsay, if somebody drives by this facility, they would see that, you know, there's this great big factory. They may not even know that there is training that actually happens here. So tell me about your role and how this training department developed.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Lindsay Bull. I manage not only the training center here in Indianapolis, but the remainder of the residential education team. So the online content, as well as our technical literature team. So I have a few different teams here at Carrier. You're right. You know, when you drive by, you wouldn't know. What is it? You know, you might not even know it's a factory. You know, we've had My Learning Center since 2014. My Learning Center launched, and we focus primarily on online content. And we had sales and business content that we were doing out in the field for our dealers and our distributors, and we had a huge gap when it came to technical content.
I get that.
We had a big gap, and there was an opportunity that came along 2022 to revamp the facility. This used to just be a big conference space. And we wanted to take the opportunity with the A2L transition to truly show how committed we are to the field and to what we do. So we built this facility a little less than a year. So we opened our doors in August 2023 so that we could be prepared and be the first ones out there teaching the field on A2L.
Yeah, because there's a lot of A2L technology in this facility. We're going to highlight that. We're going to show that to you along the way. And I encourage you to learn more about the training programs here at Carrier. And where could we learn more about this?
The best place to go is mlctraining.com. You can also reach out to us at mylearning@carrier.com, and we'll answer any questions you have.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are incredibly honored to be invited to Carrier's residential headquarters and technical training center. We encourage you to learn more at carrier.com/residential. Follow ESCO Institute on all of your favorite social media platforms to see where we are going next.